I'm back by popular demand. I had a backup presentation and someone's session fell out, so I've been asked to replace it. So this is it. This is a presentation about how I use Python to prepare for my astronomy podcast. So again, I'm not talking about work. So this is a bit more free format presentation. I'm going to show you some demos. You can shout if you want to see something, and we'll see if I can comply. So how does this start? Well, first, if you haven't seen me in the previous session and you don't know me, I'm Marcel-Jan Krijgsman. I'm from the Netherlands. I am a senior data engineer at DIKW Intelligence in Nieuwegein. Started learning Python something like 8 years ago because I thought, well, as a data engineer, it's not all data. Maybe it's also some developing. So I have a heavy operations background before that. I've been at Oracle DBA for 20 years. But I loved it. And I've done a lot of interesting stuff for work, but also for hobby. So here's an example. These are the locations of the videos and photos I took that I got from the metadata of the JPEGs and the hike files and so. And I could see exactly where I took what video, so it was useful for the video compilations I was making. So that was really cool. Also, at the current customer I'm working for, I've also been founding a Python guild to find Python people from all kinds of teams and get them together and learn from each other. But let's not talk too much about work. The origin story of this application is I like astronomy and space, and I also for our astronomy group in the Netherlands, it's called the Werkgroep Maan en Planeet, or the Working Group Moon and Planets. Every half year I do a presentation on all the things that were happening in space and astronomy related to the solar system. Planetary missions, lunar landers, missions to the asteroids, interesting scientific results. I love it all. I try to follow it all. It turns out that was getting harder and harder when I found more and more news sources. What I do is I create Evernote documents that look something like this. You look directly in my Evernote. So here's a section about the moon. This is all from November. So I make these Evernote documents per month. Here's everything about the moon. Here's Mars. Here are the asteroids. It's all in Dutch, of course, the headers, but you get the idea. Something about Jupiter. So I keep trying to keep track of that all. And that started doing that something like in 2016. But gradually I found out that I was getting information overload and maybe a fear of missing out. I tried to follow it all, but at a certain point I found myself more like copying links. This could be interesting. This is something I should read later. Oh, this also could be interesting, but I have no time to read it right now. Thinking, this is stupid. I want to read the damn things. I don't want to paste links. So at a certain point I was thinking, well, is there not some kind of way to automate this? Something that picks up the news and put it in categories for me, then I can just do the reading. And yes, I know large language models can summarize it for me, but some things I just want to do myself. Just like later on I will talk about the podcast. Some of my colleagues, when I tell them we should do a podcast on data engineering, they say, oh, yes, and we can use AI to create those podcasts. I said, no, I don't think we're going to do that. Some things I want to do myself. I want to share my enthusiasm about certain stuff, and I'm not sure a large language model can honestly do that. So anyway, so I was thinking, can I automate the categorization? So I learned that there's a thing called text mining, and well, at the company I work for, we have also data scientists. So I was thinking maybe they know, they learn a lot of different stuff. I mean, data science involves so many things. But they had some suggestions, some tips, and also I was looking on search engines, and Stack Overflow said, well, you need to read this book before you start doing this, and it was like 654 pages, and I'm thinking, yeah, for a hobby project, I think by the time I'm reading that, I'm 1.5 years later. Don't think this is going to work for me. So there must be some other kind of way. And then suddenly, you guessed it, there was a thing that was called ChatGPT. And ChatGPT, turns out, is very good at text. You can say a lot of things, and it may not always be accurate, but it is good at text. So I was thinking, well, this sounds like a thing I want to try. So I decided to create a couple of prompts and put them in a bit of Python code, make chat completion with that, and said, okay, give me, here's the news. So I got the news. Also, I'd be toying around with a GitHub Copilot, and I told GitHub Copilot, I want to read RSS feeds. And I was thinking, oh, we're going to do scraping. And it says, no, there's a feed burner package. I'm thinking, great, let's try that. So I was really quickly, I had something going. So I had the feed burner package, and that reads the RSS feed. I get the news items from there. Get the text from the news item. I put it to ChatGPT, and I say, ChatGPT, I have this list of categories, pick one of them. So how did it work out? Well, so there's basically this bit what it looks like. So you have, here are my categories. I say, categorize this text in one of the following categories, show the list. And then I put in the text from the news item, and off we go. So how did that work out? Well, this was last year, maybe 1.5 years ago. The results were mixed. Turns out if you don't tell it exactly how you want your text, it will sometimes do lowercase, uppercase, capitalized. It will sometimes separate it with commas, sometimes with new lines. Sometimes there will be bullet points in front of it, sometimes not. So I was thinking, okay, so I clearly need to whip it into shape and say, no. I want you to format exactly like this. And also, it came up with own categories. So I have my list of categories. I thought, these are the lists of categories you can pick from. And then suddenly there will be a category planetary formation where I didn't have a category planetary formation. I'm thinking, where's this coming from? So, and after a couple of months that I was using this, suddenly decided that capitalized meant that all the text it would create would be all caps. So I was thinking, where's that coming from? So there must be some kind of change somewhere at OpenAI, but it was not working for me that well. So, but luckily, I was thinking, yeah, I'm running this in Python, so I can also use Python to verify things. I don't need to do this as a person. I can automate this as well. For example, capitalization. Well, I can just ask it to produce the tags whatever I want, and then just do the capitalization myself afterwards. The categories, so basically it looks like what I did in Python looks something like this. I say pick a category from Moon, Jupiter, Mars, or else choose miscellaneous, and then ChatGPT says Venus, and I said no, that's not on my list. And then it says, oh, sorry, and then usually it picks miscellaneous. So that's what I built in, and so I don't have to look at that anymore. And I always have a category for my list since I made that change. So this is what my prompt looks, well, I know, prompt engineering is so 2023, but okay, just humor me. So I've learned to use asterisks and triple asterisks and triple backticks to put in the title and the summary text so that it can clearly delineate that is not the rest of the prompt, that is the actual text. I have the category list in there, and then it asks you to choose a topic, and it's getting better. So basically, this is now what it looks like. I get my articles from my RSS feed. I ask ChatGPT to pick categories and tags. ChatGPT does its work. I clean up the results. I check the results, verify the results, clean it up, and then store it as JSON. and then store it in an Elasticsearch, because at the point that I was creating this, I was thinking Elasticsearch is also good for text, so this is probably a good choice for me. So Elasticsearch on my laptop, but I have to say, if I had thought a little bit further, I'm fluent in SQL. I've been doing SQL for 20 years. Maybe I should have chosen some kind of relational database, but okay. I find Elasticsearch sometimes very hard. If I want to update a record, an attribute in a record, I find it very hard sometimes to do, but okay. Then I learned something about embeddings. We already had some sessions here about vector databases, so if you have followed these, you already might have heard some stuff I'm telling you here, but that never hurts to hear it twice, because then you remember it better, maybe. Yeah, because I was working on some optimizations, and one of the problems I had that when you get the news from all these astronomy sites, some are repeating the news from others. There's a news aggregator that's called viz.org, and you will find in the news that was already posted on Universe Today, but they just put all those news sources together on their site also. So you get the news twice or three times. And of course, when a commercial moonlander lands, in that one of Intuitive Machines, and it falls over, you of course get the news that a moonlander has fallen over something like 10 times. So I was thinking, yeah, do I want ChatGPT to categorize each and every article every time if those articles are so similar? Because I have a prepaid account, and of course it's a hobby, so I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. That's why I also use the ChatGPT 3.5 and not the 4.0 or something, because that's way too expensive for this purpose. So then I learned from a talk from Simon Willison. I'm not sure if you know Simon Willison. He's doing a lot of things about large language models. I learned about embeddings, so the cool things you can do with that. So basically, what is an embedding? So here we have the text from an article about Voyager 2, doing things we learned from the planet Uranus, and what we learned recently about this by studying the data again. And what ChatGPT basically sees, or other large language models see, is basically this is one large array of floating points. And this is just the start of it. There's something like 300 or 350 floating points in one big array. And I can show you, because I have this here as an example. Here we have, for example, this is what my RSS feed, what my data looks like when I put it in a JSON. You can see the title. You can see there's a URL like this here. And then you go a little bit further, and you also see the categories that ChatGPT chose. And I have something that's called universal tag. So that's after I've checked its work, then the universal tag is what it actually is, and then you can see the main category, and then you see suddenly this summary vector. So I put in the clean text of the summary of the RSS feed, and I put it through an embedding, create an embedding of it, and here you can see this is quite a long list of floating points. So, but the cool thing about that is you can compare these embeddings. And if two articles are very similar, the embeddings are also likely very similar. So I'm thinking, hey, maybe I can use that to see what articles are very similar. And if I already have ChatGPT tags and categories for that, then I don't have to do that again. And score, I don't have to pay another couple of tokens at the Open API account. So I've done that. I used the All-Mini LM-L6v2 embedding model. I've seen it also being used in a session about the vector databases just now. So it's apparently very often used. I had in my Elasticsearch index, I put an extra attribute with all these embeddings, so I can have the embedding that I can compare it. And did it work? Well, sometimes, but at least it wouldn't find similarities where there weren't any. Oh, by the way, and I use cosine similarity as a function from Simon Willis's LLM package to see what the similarity is. It's also fast enough for my purposes. It's, of course, I don't mind if I started running and then start cooking and then come back after eating and see if it's finished or not. It usually is, so that's no problem. Also, a cool thing about embeddings is, and there's also something you might have already seen in other presentations, you can visualize them. You basically, those 200, 300, 400 floating points are basically dimensions, and you can take a large cast iron pen and flatten it to 2 dimensions or 3 dimensions. That's, I can show you an example because I have the code here. I probably should put this on GitHub somewhere. But I can run this, and I think, so this will use a package called UMap, and it will do a comparison. Well, it flattened the 350 or so dimensions to 3, and then it looks like this. And I hope I can use my fingers here to zoom in, because the funny thing is, if you zoom in, which is going very slow and not entirely the way I want, I should have taken my mouse here, but anyway, you can honestly see that some of these news articles are actually grouped. You can actually see that, for example, Mars, all these things are Mars related. They're in categories together. They're in clumps together. So, and you can see that there are a lot of other news that are together. Some miscellaneous articles are there. There are some. Let's see, what is this? Exoplanets. So it's actually, you can actually see that it does see similarities. And I've been studying more closely what articles exactly get on what places. And you can actually see, oh, wait, these are indeed all the articles about the Chinese Chang'e 6 lander that landed in February or January this year. And they're actually very close together. So it actually works, apparently. So I was really happy about that. So if you want to try this, I'll try to share my slides somewhere, and hopefully I'll find a way that I can reach everyone if you want. But basically, so I have load my data. I have the clean summary factor. That's where my embeddings are in. I load the categories, the main categories. I tell UMap I want to flatten all these dimensions to only 3. I think that is the end components. And then do a fit transform. And then I want to have this in a new kind of, I think, the data frame. And then I can put that in a graph. And that's what you just saw. So, yeah. So that's all nice. But now, so the whole idea was that I can quickly find interesting articles, and for that, I just show you what my JSON looks like. That's not really useful for quickly finding things. So I'm thinking, the next step would be to have some kind of front-end app for retrieval. Like I said, I'm not going to scroll to many lines of JSON data. And also, I'm not going to do Elasticsearch JSON queries because I'm really bad at that. And it turns out sometimes large language models are also very bad at it. They say, here's the JSON body query, go ahead. And then I think, no, that's not what I want. So it really takes some time before I get the right thing. So I'm thinking, I need some kind of front end. Can I make that? By the way, I have zero experience with front end. Like I said, I have a background in operations, not in development of front ends. But I was looking around, and suddenly I found there's a thing called Streamlit. Some people already know Streamlit, I see, because I see some people laughing. And they say, oh, it's just pip install Streamlit, Streamlit hello, there you go. Oh, okay. I've decided what I want to see in this. So I want a simple page, nothing fancy. I want a start date I want to see all the articles from start date to end date. So I want a start date and an end date selection, like a calendar preferably. I want a drop-down menu where I check the category. And I also have some kind of attribute that I added manually that's called top categories, where I say this I definitely want to find if I want to create a presentation. And I think I have that here running already. So let me have a look. Lots of stuff running always on my laptop. Uh-oh. Well, actually, this is what it looks like. So I can just, okay, and now it decided not to work, of course, because demos. Well, let's see. We'll see about that. Let's get back here. I think I need to find my Streamlit command run. Unfortunately, it's not just a matter of running the pod.py file. You have to do Streamlit run and then, oh, well, here it is. So, yes, it gives an error if it doesn't find the right selection, because that's just, the data is too new. I'm a bit behind of vetting all the data. That's the thing. But here you can see I have a nice selection where I can say, let's go to September 1st, and I have a category called Moon, and voila, I have a nice table with a link, so I can just right-click, start new tab, and I find the article. So, wow, I'd never thought I would be able to do that, but these days, with the help of Copilot and large language models, you never know what you can do. So I'm really happy about that. Now, let's see if I can find my presentation again. And yeah, it's not really that hard if you want to create it. Granted, you don't want to create full-on large company applications with this, but for small applications like this, it's pretty nice. The code is very simple. We have of course, there's an import Streamlit as st in front of it, so you do st.title. The date selection, what you just saw, is just a question of st.date_input. There's a st.select box. Even I can understand this, so yeah, I like it. So now you saw the results, so very cool. And of course, you want the right results. Also, you saw no submit button. As soon as you select start date, end date, moon, category moon, top selection, immediately, okay, here, boom, I've done the Elasticsearch query and then the result is here. So it immediately starts to write, you selected this, you that, and that. It goes to Elasticsearch. This is the very short form. My actual version is a bit longer. And it writes the results from what it came, so what it got. So, wow. Yeah. This already I've shown, but this was in case it really would not run. You know demos, right? So yeah. But what about that podcast? Well, the thing was, because I was able to do this for a while, this took me less time to get all the news, and I thought, well, I can do a presentation live at our gatherings every half year. Or I can do a podcast every month or so, because there's so much news, and they always say, you're out of time. So I'm thinking, oh, let's do a podcast, and I can go on as long as I want. So that's what I've done. Yeah, unfortunately for you guys, most of you guys, it's going to be all right. Unfortunately for you guys, it's in Dutch. I would love to do one in English also, but I just know my limitations time-wise. It's already taking something like still 8 hours per month to make this. So all the editing and the posting, it's a lot of work. But to my surprise, I was really thinking that something like 30 people would be listening to this. But I've been doing this for a year now. And to my surprise, recently the number of unique listeners went over 1,000, and this was it was yesterday actually, last evening. So I have 1,370 unique listeners now listening to my podcast. I have 2 episodes per month. One is the recent developments in the solar system, where I created this whole thing for. Another one is to say what's to view in the night sky for the next month, and That's great. So this is how Python helped my podcast. There's of course there are always things I want to have for the future. I'm not so sure. Now I really need to vet all the data I get from the RSS feeds, and I first need to get through all that, then store it in Elasticsearch, because if I run my Python code again, it will check in Elasticsearch what it already has. So I need to put the previous data in there, otherwise it will get the same RSS feeds, same articles twice, and that's what I don't want, so I need to create that, change that a little bit. I also would like to have some kind of front end for checking the ChatGPT results, because going through that JSON every time is actually pretty stupid, and I would like more something like Tinder for my astronomy news or something, that I can swipe left and right. Yeah, this is good, ChatGPT. No, that's not good. Let me fix that. Okay, yeah, that's good, that's good. And then things could go even faster, and who knows. Like you've shown, weird. Yeah, it's amazing what you can do with a little bit Python knowledge. So who knows what I have in a couple of extra months. So, and that's basically my story. And if you have any questions, feel free. There's still time.
Thank you for interesting presentation. It seems like a great idea for the new website. What kind of digest of Galaxy? You can ask ChatGPT to translate it to English, so we will be another 1,000 at least listeners for your podcast.
I've actually been thinking about posting the results, all this tagging and news categories on the website somewhere. I've been checking put it in some kind of database or something in the cloud, but then I was looking at the costs and thinking, and then I spoke another astronomy fan in the Netherlands, and he said, well, I have some place on my virtual machine, so you can use my virtual machine in the cloud. But sorry, I haven't got around to that. There's so much I do sometimes. So yeah, maybe in the future. Yeah.
Any more questions?
Hi, what's the cost of the ChatGPT that you're paying for all this for a month?
Oh, I can tell you, I've prepaid $10, and I still haven't used it all, because I've used the very cheapest version, the Chat 3.5 Turbo, and it's something like $0.00003 per token, and I use very little tokens to my I'm very happy about that.
Any more questions? Okay, that's a wrap. Thank you so much. That was a great talk.
Thank you for listening.